Hey, how's it going, captains? Admiral Hattori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I am sailing the Tier 9 Premium Japanese battleship, the Musashi, with, of course, the High School Fleet camouflage. This is a camouflage that I really wanted to get, and I wasn't certain that Wargaming was going to bring the High School Fleet IP back to the premium store, because the company who owns the IP to the High School Fleet went bankrupt. Now, I don't know what happened to them now, but judging from that, Wargaming actually brought back the High School Fleet to the premium store for a brief moment. Now it's gone, of course, with the time I upload this video. I was really grateful to actually get the camouflage on the Musashi. Now, the Musashi is one of those very rare ships, because you cannot obtain her from the armory, nor from the tech tree using free XP, nor can you buy it from the premium store. The only way you're going to get the Musashi is if you dump a lot of money, or if you're really lucky, get it from the Santa crates. So you get lucky on the first try, you got the Musashi. If you don't get lucky, well, you're going to have to keep dropping the cash on the Santa crates if you want the Musashi. Or the Missouri, which is the other battleship that people want back from the land of impossible. So, extremely valuable ship. What makes her even more valuable is probably that she's the most powerful Tier 9 battleship, strictly speaking, of what she can do when it comes to her guns and her armor. She has a Tier 10 capability at Tier 9. And the jump from Tier 9 to Tier 10 is massive in terms of what a ship can do, generally speaking, from what I've seen. But yes, the Musashi, there are some weaknesses that not necessarily make her the best battleship, but it's safe to say that she's one of the stronger ones to play in this game. She's probably my best Tier 9 battleship in terms of statistics. She does a lot of damage, just a ton of damage with these 460mm guns. And just put in perspective, you got Tier 10 armor and you can face Tier 7 battleships with guns that can overmatch any Tier 7 battleship armor. Yeah, this is a very nasty recipe for dealing with Tier 7 and even Tier 8s, because Tier 8s, if they hate going up against Tier 10, facing a Musashi in Tier 8 is no different than facing a Tier 10. Yes, of course, the Musashi is not as accurate as the Yamato, and that is one of the glaring weaknesses of the Musashi, especially when it comes to comparing to the Yamato. But then again, she has the Yamato's armor, which means that your guns are going to be completely obsolete in terms of if you're playing a battleship and you try to face the Musashi with your, Nagato or your North Carolina, they're just going to bounce and do pretty much no damage, versus the Musashi just going to keep trying with the reload upgrade from the Tier 9 slots. Eventually, the ship is just going to win in a head-on brawl. Right there, for some reason, I have no clue what that Seattle's doing. Got a big citadel on her. So we're going to punch the Seattle. In the beginning of this game, it's fairly slow, but eventually it will pick up in the latter half, because it looks like our team and the enemy team are going opposite directions if you look on the mini-map. But let's talk about the Musashi a little bit more. So, on paper, yes, she sounds very powerful, but if you play the Musashi, play the Yamato, there are some serious weakness with this ship. The first obvious one is that she lacks anti-air. Her anti-air setup is probably Tier 6 level. For a Tier 9 battleship, that's absolutely horrendous. I would take a Nagato anti-air over this ship. Okay, I don't know if I exactly know the ratings between the two ships, but I feel like the AA at least is just horrible for a ship at this caliber. The other thing is that she is extremely picky when it comes to positioning, because of the vulnerability on her citadel. Beyond, I would say, 14 to 15 kilometers, she's fine. You can sell broadside in the Musashi. I'm not encouraging to sell broadside with the Musashi because that's at your own risk. But when you need to make a turn, you can do it at 13 to 15 kilometers safely, because the armor on this is very thick at the belt, and in most cases it will stop the shell or it will shatter the shell, because the shell might detonate inside the torpedo protection, and if you get unlucky it might actually citadel you. But since you're at a fair distance, there is a lower chance, because shells tend to be less accurate at a far distance, unless you're playing the Slava or Pobeda, if you want to call that ship. So right here, look at this, the ratio just completely stopped, full brakes. Notice I'm here. But yeah, if you're below 10 kilometers, and you're facing a Musashi, say for instance you're in a Reishilu, your best chance of winning is to full steam ahead. You gotta force the ram, because you're gonna win in terms of getting that Musashi with a ram. That is a worth ram, unless the Musashi is of course low HP and you're full HP, then obviously you don't want to do that. But getting the broadside of the Musashi, being this slow and the turrets takes forever to turn, it's game over for the Musashi. That is the biggest problem with the Musashi, and that is something that really depends on how players want to play the game. There are players out there who likes a more proactive way of playing a battleship, where they constantly move and get concealed and get the angle, and they want to show broadside when they need to without being extremely punished like the Musashi, because the Musashi and Yamato are one of the easiest high tier ships to just delete. Then the Missouri might be a better choice, because it's more versatile versus what the Musashi has to offer. But when it comes to randoms, the Musashi excels in random games, because in random games people just, they're just out there sailing and just finding something to do, trying to do damage, and they're not really working together. If you're playing Destroyer, you're playing Battleship, you can easily take out a Musashi if you get the right coordination. But in most cases, everyone's going to do their own thing. They're very independent players, right, in randoms, unless you're playing in a division. But still, the Musashi, any smart Musashi player is not going down easily. If they see a situation where the enemy is going to charge at you and you know you're not going to win, the best you can do is constantly sail back and bank on that your 460mm guns, which are capable of overmatching 99% of battleships battle in this game. I say 99% because there is that 1% like the Curfers, one of the more difficult ships to overmatch. You can only overmatch the upper parts of the battle, which is not that useful, versus the lower portion of the battle of the Curfers, which is plated with what, 100 some millimeters or even 60 millimeters? I don't know. But generally speaking, this thing is like, I don't play World of Tanks or any tank game, but as I would see it after watching Jingo's videos on tank games, this is like a mouse or a tiger or a heavy tank. I might be wrong, because I might be greatly misrepresenting since I have no experience with tanks games, but that's what I see from gameplays when it comes to watching Jingo's videos. So yeah, it's a boring gameplay in most cases, but it's at the same time fun when you're getting some serious damage downrange with these massive, huge guns. And right here I'm selling broadside. Not too concerned at the Bismarck, who is firing at me earlier. Going to fire at full salvo at that Georgia. The Georgia turned slightly away. If she turned a little bit in, I bet I got more damage out of that, if not citadel that ship. Now, although you have the biggest guns, these guns are just really built to go up against battleships. So yeah, you might see tier 7 ships, maybe tier 7 cruisers, but it can actually be against you, like, fire back at you, because these guns will probably overpen the citadel of the Atlanta or a light cruiser. And so I'm speaking citadel, I citadel that Georgia. So right here, I'm being very mindful of my positioning. I am broadside to the Thunderer and tier bits, but they are not taking any interest at my broadside. Going to fire at the Bismarck. Now, my biggest issue with the Musashi, which I mentioned, is that sometimes the dispersion is just not great. It's seriously not great. It's still a Japanese battleship, but one thing about the Musashi is that she can be extremely accurate, as you have seen several of the salvos I fired at a battleship. But there'll be cases where the shells are nowhere near of being, accurate enough. It's just a completely different ship. Right here, I'm gonna fire at. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna fire at that Georgia. Looks like I hit the stern area, or the 1/3 of the stern area of that ship, and that is where it's penable because that's probably 32mm, which my guns are able to actually over penetrate, doing a lot of damage. Now Bismarck and Tirpitz are one of the more difficult ships to actually do well when it comes to using the Musashi guns, because they have a lot of armor all over the place. But of course, if they show broadside, then you're going to paddle them hard. Look at that. Shokaku spotted out in the distance. I have no clue what my friendly Fletcher is doing. She's determined to go all the way to the back and hunt the carrier. Right there, there is a broadside Salem. And again, yeah, it's a substantial amount of damage, but I bet if I had the Yamato, my shells would be more consistent and most likely delete the Salem. So I'm going to try again with the Musashi, see if we can get rid of the Salem. She's showing considerable amount of broadside and not moving at all. I have no clue what the Salem is trying to do. So there's another salvo. Very clean salvo from what I fired. And it's just not good results. This is one of the biggest frustrating part of playing the Musashi. But you gotta keep trying. That's the thing about Musashi, you gotta keep trying. Now, although I have crappy anti-air, I have a ton of deck armor. So, aircraft carriers that are trying to use AP bombs or bombs in general, or even the attack aircraft with their rockets, the only chance they're going to do damage against the Musashi is really the superstructure, which is if they're fairly large size, but in most cases it's alright, since eventually once the damage saturates, you really can't do much against the Musashi other than burn the ship down. Or hit the stern or bow of the ship, which is also plated 32mm. So we can take out this Tier 8, Tier 8 was the Italian cruiser? I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Amalfi? Amalfi? I bet it's Amalfi. So friendly North Carolina takes out the that ship. And now I have to deal with the Shokaku, the Bismarck, and who else? The Thunderer. I think the Thunderer should be the next ship I should focus. Can I squeeze? And no, I can't squeeze. But that's okay, because the Musashi has very thick torpedo protection. So yeah, this thing is a beast against Tier 7 destroyers, because Tier 7 destroyers, their torpedo damage isn't that great. And as a result, it's going to take a lot to sink this ship. So it looks like the Shokaku is determined to just try and sink me over everyone else, since I have the crappiest anti-air. So I'm going to maneuver this behemoth towards the right side. And got hit in the stern, but that's okay. Didn't do that much damage. Still got plenty of health to work with here. We're about to go against the German battleship Bismarck. Recently, the Germans, well, at least in December, the December patch, they got their dispersion model changed. I need to turn and get all my guns to bear. So yeah, the Germans, they got their dispersion changed, and it has greatly improved. I have a Tirpitz game that is waiting in my hard drive to do. I'll probably do that next after this video. But I am loving the Germans right now. They're very fun to play, especially the Tirpitz. So it looks like the Bismarck is going to fire HE, which is, I would say, it's a smart move. Because you know the AP, especially when I angle like this, is not going to do much until the Bismarck, or I show my broadside to the Bismarck. So the Bismarck, I would say the Bismarck, out of all the Tier 8 battleships, I think the Bismarck or the Tirpitz have the best chance. Or more specifically, the Tirpitz, because the Tirpitz has that torpedo at her disposal. I think these are the ships that have the best chance of winning against a Musashi. That's comparable. Other than that, other ships like what? The Sinop, maybe the Vostok might have a chance. But generally speaking, most battleships at this tier is just going to lose in a straight up gun battle. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time on World of Warships.